Today's story is going to be about a huge wolf a man came across when he was going into the forest. When he first saw it, he was terrified. But this wolf was actually trapped, and it looked very worn out. Anyone would have guessed that it's been a while since he fell into the trap. At that moment, the man approached the wolf, and when he looked at it, this wolf had her nipples swollen, and they had milk in them. So the man deduced that there must be little ones out there nearby needing some food. The man tried approaching the she-wolf, but in spite of her condition, she didn't let him approach the trap. The man definitely knew that he had to do something, so he went looking for her little ones. While he was walking around, he noticed there was a wolf den, so he tried to howl like a wolf in an attempt to call the babies out. But none of them came out the first time. But he tried again, and luckily they did. The reason behind that is definitely their hunger. So he took them all and then went back to the she-wolf. When the man came back, the wolf was just sitting there, looking at the man very quietly and patiently. Of course, she smelled them and she knew that these were hers. So the man released the pups, and of course they ran to their mother in sheer joy. The she-wolf sat down and the little ones started drinking milk. While the man was looking for the pups, he found a dead deer. So after releasing the pups, he went back to getting the deer so that the she-wolf could have some food. Luckily, the food was enough for 2 whole days. And the man didn't stop it at that. He actually stayed there with the she-wolf. He camped there for the night. And when the sun came out, the little ones woke him up. And they started sniffing this man and playing around him. And the she-wolf was actually looking at everything that was happening with excitement. And then it hit him, the thought that he could gain the animal's trust, so he could finally free it from its trap. Over the course of days, he kept feeding her and talking to her continuously, so that she could trust him. The she-wolf was actually becoming to feel safer, so she let the man approach her a little closer. One day, while he was feeding her, he realized that she was wagging her tail, so he needed to act immediately. So he got himself a blanket and then wrapped his hand with it. And then he sat next to the she-wolf, like right next to it that she could have easily preyed on him. But that didn't happen. The very next morning, the man was awoken by the noises the little ones were making, and he was extremely happy that he did survive this, because the she-wolf actually trusts him now. And now the man knew the time has come that he tries to help the she-wolf. So he put his hands on its injured leg, but it showed no signs of aggression when he was finally able to release her from her trap. Now, the normal reaction would be that the wolf would take a go, just take her little ones and just leave into the wild. But she actually approached the man and started licking his hands. And then something out of this world happened when the man realized that the wolf was actually calling for him, so that he could accompany her and her little ones. He was totally mesmerized by this, and then he followed the wolf. After some time, they found a place near the lake that is very beautiful, and in it there was a pack of about 8 wolves with their pups. Apparently this was their place, and the she-wolf actually greeted the rest of them in a heartwarming manner, howling to them. The man was just contemplating what's happening and just thinking to himself that he is between these wolves and just being completely alone, which is something nobody would ever wish. But believe it or not, that man wasn't actually scared at all. He had this feeling that he found his spot, that he wasn't an outsider to the pack. Then the night came upon them, and the man lit a fire and fixed himself a tent. And while he was sitting, he saw some silhouettes of wolves just moving in the dark. And it occurred to him that he has been missing all of this. This connection with nature was mesmerizing. He wasn't afraid of these wolves, he was connecting with them. Deep down, he knew that he wouldn't be hurt by any of these wolves, as he rescued the she-wolf, and in return, she brought him to her home. As the sun rose, the man knew that it was about time that he left this place. He was preparing himself to leave, and the she-wolf looked at him sadly, as if she knew he was about to go. So while the man was on the go, he stopped and looked back. And for his surprise, the she-wolf and her little ones were just following him. The man raised his hand and started waving to them. And as an answer, the she-wolf howled heartwarmingly that it almost resounded in the entire forest. But wait till you know what happened next, for it was absolutely amazing. 5 years had passed, and the man decided to go back to the forest. And on his way, he saw the same trap from which he saved the she-wolf. It was exactly where he left it, and memories started rushing back to him. Flashbacks of everything that had happened. So he decided to go near the lake where the she-wolf and her little ones were staying. And while he was walking towards it, a bear smelled a human blood and ran to it. The man was totally terrified this time and tried climbing up a tree so that he could save himself from this monstrous animal. But the bear actually started climbing too, so that it could prey on this human. The man didn't know what to do first, but then he raised his hands to his mouth and started doing this howl-like sounds so that he could call for the she-wolf. The man was preparing himself that this was going to be his last day on Earth. But then, out of the blue, the bear actually took back his steps. Right from around the lake, 5 huge wolves came for the rescue. They started showing off their teeth and snarling awfully that they scared the bear off and forced it to leave the place. And then they all left except for one wolf. And believe it or not, it was the same she-wolf that he rescued 5 years ago. It was looking at the man as if it recognized him. And as a greeting, she howled and howled again, which broke the silence that was filling the forest. Then she left with the other wolves, and the man then left the forest. But these thoughts were rushing their ways into his mind, that sometimes we come across things beyond our understanding. I mean, what happened to him with the she-wolf is almost impossible, for they broke the laws of nature and created a bond between 2 different worlds. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave us a like and come for more heartwarming videos in our channel. See ya soon!
Subscribe for more.